The LIBOR rate-fixing scandal. Oh, boy, is Mitt Romney having fun in the UK. Okay, this is shaping up to be one of the biggest financial crimes in the history of the world. We're looking at more than a dozen of the biggest banks in the world conspiring to manipulate hundreds of, not millions, not billions, trillions of dollars in the global economy. Hundreds of trillions. Keep in mind, the GDP of the United States is 15 trillion. So that they can make bigger profits while consumers, small businesses, entire cities left to go bankrupt. I mean, this scandal has already spread to Wall Street. Department of Justice officials are literally have said that they are preparing criminal charges against banksters here in the United States. But the center of this crime, the epicenter of the LIBOR scandal, which has been going on for years, all the way back to the Bush administration, is in London's financial district, home to Barclays Bank, the first bank to be implicated in the rate rigging scandal. Two top executives at Barclays have already resigned, and the bank was slapped with a $450 million fine for criminal activity. Right now, London's financial district is the only word you could use to describe it is that it's radioactive. Right? You don't want to go near it. If you're a politician, you don't want to be involved in it. You don't even want your picture taken within miles of it. Because who knows how many people working there are going to end up falling on their swords or having the proverbial sword come down to the back of their necks. I mean, heads are rolling. So, bottom line, stay away from London's financial district. Got it?
Mitt Romney's overseas trip next week will take him to the heart of London's scandal-ridden banking industry. The hosts of Romney's high-dollar reception and dinner on July 26th overwhelmingly represent banks, hedge funds, and other financial institutions, some of which are embroiled in the LIBOR rate-fixing scandal.
Oops. That report from, I believe it was CNN. Yep. Guess where Mitt Romney is tonight? Raising money in London's crime-ridden financial district. Romney campaign is throwing two fundraisers, a reception and a dinner. It'll cost you $2,500 a person to attend the reception with Mitt and $25,000 to $75,000 to attend the dinner with Mitt. That's just pocket change for the banksters who recently made off with billions by illegally rigging LIBOR rates. These fundraisers are supposed to be reserved only for expats, but they're being hosted by several banksters and lobbyists with ties to the LIBOR scandal, including Barclays lobbyist Patrick Durkin, the co-chair of Romney's fundraisers. Now, consider this. Barclays Bank, this is the bank where the executives have already had to cough up more than $1 million in donations to the Romney campaign, as well as hundreds of millions of dollars in criminal fines. This, by the way, is really ticking off British members of Parliament who are investigating the LIBOR crimes. The British newspaper The Telegraph reported, and I quote, 11 MPs, that's as in members of Parliament, right? This is like their House of Representatives. 11 MPs last week demanded the bank and its directors stop working to bolster Mr. Romney's election campaign and concentrate on repairing confidence in the banking system. End of quote. From one of the major newspapers in the UK. But, of course, if Romney gets on a plane, flies all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, comes to a party in London's financial district, what else are the Barclay bankers supposed to do? I mean, especially since Romney is their meal ticket.
I would like to repeal Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, he would like to repeal Dodd-Frank. Romney is the guy who's going to repeal Dodd-Frank financial regulations. He's going to free Wall Street once again to gamble, manipulate, defraud the rest of us. This is, well, Barclays and the rest of the scandal-ridden banks aren't really, I mean, consider this for a minute. You really think they're making contributions to Mitt Romney? Nah. They're investing in him. What Romney is doing tonight goes way beyond his campaign's racist Anglo-Saxon remarks. It goes way beyond Mitt's shady Swiss bank accounts. It goes way beyond Mitt's years of Bain offshoring American jobs, all of which are important. But holding a fundraiser on foreign soil with banksters who work for a foreign corporation and are currently under investigation for what could be the biggest financial crime in the history of the world, that takes the cake. It should end the Romney campaign for good, but it won't because of Citizens United. This is all legal. I mean, two of Paul Ryan's biggest donors are Credit Suisse and UBS, Swiss banks. That's incredible. This is all the Supreme Court Citizens United ruling took us down the road of foreigners, multinational corporations, bankster criminals owning our politicians. We have criminal banksters committing rampant fraud, then investing in our presidential candidates, hoping that in return those candidates are going to pass legislation to legalize their fraud or give them immunity. We just have to wake up and say enough already. And then on top of this, Romney goes to the UK. This is where it gets really bizarre. This is from today's Financial Times. And I don't have the physical paper today, but I do have you can read it on the internet, ft.com. And Ben Fenton, reporting from London. Mitt Romney, the presumptive Republican candidate for the U.S. presidency, got off to a shaky start in his efforts to show a statesman-like profile when he seemed to get into a public spat with the UK Prime Minister over London's readiness to host the Olympics. Right. Mr. Cameron, the British Prime Minister, shall we say, was not amused. Here it is. In a U.S. TV interview on Wednesday night, Mr. Romney said there were disconcerting signs of unpreparedness for the games, and he questioned whether British people had taken the event to their heart. So, the Prime Minister, Mr. David Cameron, basically slapped down Romney. He says, we are holding an Olympic Games in one of the biggest, most active, bustling cities anywhere in the world. And then he takes, now Romney has questioned his ability to do it. And then he, get this, keep in mind, Romney ran the Salt Lake City Olympics, which is, I guess, Romney's street cred to talk about, how to run the Olympics. So David Cameron says, of course, it's easier if you hold an Olympic Games in the middle of nowhere. Right. U.S. reporters took, again, quoting from the Financial Times, U.S. reporters took the second part of his comment as a snipe at Salt Lake City. You think? Oh, man. This is incredible. Romney says, there were a few things that were disconcerting. The stories about the private security firm not having enough people, the supposed strike of the immigration and customs officials, that obviously is something which is not encouraging. The British people, Romney said, should come together to celebrate the Olympic moment. Mr. Cameron was not amused by that either. So here we have, banksters ruining the world, Mitt Romney going to the UK to raise money from them, and slapping down David Cameron, slapping down the Brits. And this is the guy that who wants to be the statesman to the world for us? The president is the head of state as well as the head of government. Say what? I think the British are really scratching their heads. We should too.